Hello and welcome back for our second match with Recurring Nightmare. We are on the play and we are absolutely keeping a hand with Therapy, Rector, Decay, and Curse of Death's Hold. So we've got, a decent plan against combo decks. We have Therapy into Decay on whatever thing they might have, Grim Monolith or like a spare Lionside Diamond, or just like if they're not a combo deck, then, decaying their first creature. And then Rector into Flashback, get Recurring Nightmare, and hopefully draw a creature to cast by turn 3. So that's the plan. We're going to lead on Windswept Heath since we'd really like to not get wastelanded with this hand, and we certainly have time to play around Stifle. So, pretty clear idea of what we're playing against now. So with this, we're actually going to hold up Decay and try and take out their 2-drop. And we're going to fetch basics this game. So, our Heath is going to get a forest. We basically just don't want to get priced out for infinite. So, I'm trying to think how we are against Burn. Ooh. That is about as good as it gets on the Abrupt Decay front. Just getting to trade a card for their card and not take damage. That's a big deal. So we're going to shotgun this Therapy and name probably Fire Blast. It's the card that does the most to us. And we hit 2. And we can flash it back on Chain Lightning if we so desire. But yeah, Fire Blast was very, very thought out. So we just get to tag Chain Lightning and leave them empty-handed. Chain Lightning. Cool, well, basketball therapy ever. 2 mana. Search out 2 lands, put them into play untapped. Gain 11 life. Can't really ask for too much more than that. So, we're going to cast Academy Rector. And our opponent doesn't have any, Pyromancers floating around right now, and they're not that threatening, so there's no need to rush out this Curse of Death's Hold. And Abrupt Decaying it, when we did, was just awesome. Just getting to trade our 2 mana for their 2 mana and progress the game to this point. So. We don't really have any ways of gaining life, which is unfortunate. But gonna play our Marsh Floods because we actually want a second white source in case we peel Yosei. Flame Rift, cool. And presumably Barbarian Ring, so we're effectively at 7. That Cabal Therapy was quite good. But, we're gonna need something real really soon. It could be just like Deathrite Shaman, right? Like we have at least one creature in the graveyard, and gaining 2 life is a big deal. Oh, they have a creature in the graveyard too, so yeah, just a Deathrite Shaman would be fine here. And we've got Curse of Deathhold to knock out their attackers. So our opponent needs to, like, still draw pretty well here. And they're drawing to, like, relatively few 4-point damage sources. And in a pinch we can plow our Rector. Although, obviously, we'd like to plow something like Kiga, since gaining 5 life is just very, very good. Our opponent seems particularly interested in hanging out in our main phase, so I'll bring you back when they decide to cut that out. And we're back. So we're just going to crack with Rector, hold our 7th land, and play Curse of Deathhold, enchanting them. So the reason why we aren't playing a land is because the way that you beat, quote-unquote, beat Price of Progress is you crack off your fetch lands for basics or nothing if you don't have basics, and we don't really want to have to crack off our fetch lands. Like, this one in play is actually sort of a liability, because we're going to have to activate it at some point during the game if they have price. So I anticipate their Barbarian Ring is going to come after our Deathrite Shaman, which is fine because it gives us a way to sack Rector for a meaningful card. And if for some reason they don't take out Deathrite Shaman, then... Oh wow, we get a Lightning Bolt out of that? That's phenomenal. That is just... That is so good. So... we could Entomb for Cabal Therapy. And then get Recurring Nightmare, but we aren't really doing anything from there. So we're just going to kick it back for now. As soon as we have another card to... another creature, then we're happy to move, and regardless of what creature we draw, Entomb plus any creature in our deck is at most 7 mana. So it's going to be fine no matter what. It's just that we're getting a little flooded. So, kicking it back again, and... Okay, so our opponent getting equally flooded. So what does Cabal Therapy get us? Means that we can Entomb for Bloodghast, and... we could have sequenced that better, but you get the idea. I am going to name Searing Blaze, because I can't imagine that our opponent wants to cast Searing Blaze on Academy Rector. But Ooh, okay. Price and Hellspark. We would like to exile Rector. We just get to get a Price of Progress for free? That seems awesome. Okay. Our opponent's done. So, to the sideboard, where our plan is... We're definitely not Thoughtseizing them. Massacre isn't free, so we don't want it. Spirit seems eh. Eidolon seems good against Hellspark, but not much else. Windboard Muse seems good against the part of their game plan that we don't care about. Yeah, none of these cards seem good. Is there anything that we want? So, He Who Hungers, pretty mediocre against a burn deck. We can definitely get at least one more Abrupt Decay in here. Yeah, I think that's just it. I'm kind of interested in Collective Blessing 2 games in, but I feel like you only really want that when your opponent isn't meaningfully interacting with you. And Abrupt Decay is a fine card to board in as a hedge, because like they could have Graft Digger's Cage, they could have Tormod's Crypt, they could have, you know, whatever else. And Pithing Needle, who knows. So, Decay is just a fine card, and especially when they're playing something like Young Pyromancer, being able to trade cards, just like even on mana, even on cards, that's a win for the person who isn't playing a burn deck. Because the point of a burn deck is to skirt enough opposing interaction to knock them to 0 life. So what does this hand do? So it fetches at least one dual land, and so it gets like Bayou, Swamp, Plains. And you plow their first 2 creatures, and then you play Bloodghasts. I'm not thrilled, but like having plow against a deck with Goblin Guide Hellspark Elemental is just fine. I don't think that we're doing much better unless we have like one of those nutso Veteran Explorer, Cabal Therapy, Deathrite Shaman hands where like we have 6 mana sources in play starting on our 3rd turn, and you know, we just like cast a dragon and they die. But like you can't mulligan to those, obviously. So, in the absence of the Nut hand, I think this will do. So they spike us, which means that they don't have Riftbolt, they don't have Goblin Guide, they don't have Vexing Devil. They don't have a lot of things, really. So Windswept Heath is going to get the Bayou, which is why I played it first. Although, now it's not going to get Bayou at all, it's going to get Plains. Well, not Plains, Scrubland. And we are going to plow this Hellspark. Okay, well now we drew the Plains, so now this Windswept Heath can get basic forest. But for now we're getting the swamp and bloodgasting them. Just ghastly. Vortex, okay. That's also not a card that I particularly mind. It's a bit on the slow side. So, we can't gain life, which is, you know, whatever, but we do have 4 power in play, and we do have a removal spell for the next creature they cast. So there are definitely hands that can lose in this position with Sulfuric Vortex. If they just have like a bunch of 3 mana shots to the dome, then, you know, obviously we're not winning. But if they have that, then we can't really control this. Okay. Well, if they had Fire Blast, we would be dead. So we can't play as though they have that. We can play around Flame Rift. But I think we need to play around Price of Progress, since we haven't seen that one. Okay, that's fine. Trying to think of... Man, okay. Well, good beats. More Abrupt Decays. Fewer Curse of Death Holds. Fewer Kaigas. And I guess we are the beatdown, so let's stop messing around and board in a bunch of 2-drops and kill them. Yeah, this seems fine. This is an ugly hand. We're mulliganing that. We can't possibly win with 5 lands in our hand. Just like cast Bloodghast, no interaction whatsoever. Like we have to, if we had Entomb, that would obviously be fine, but in the absence of that. Lightning Bolt is interesting, so they don't have Rift Bolt, they don't have Spike, they don't have Guide. They don't have so much. So we don't have blue cards in our deck. So I think we just want Swamp Forest? Swamps, no, they both need to be black. So yeah, I guess just like Swamp Bayou. I'm trying to think of like how to both minimize exposure to price and maximize our ability to cast spells that we draw off the top of our deck, but I think minimizing exposure to price is more important since like we can't beat it for 6. Like that's just flat out not happening. And yeah. We are, as ever, the beatdown. So we're going to go to 9 here, beat them down to 10. And then Decay Vortex on their end step, I guess. Get out of here, Vast. Yep, Spike. Not really sure what our opponent's thinking about. Probably how awesome Fire Blast is. Fire Blast is pretty awesome. Surgical Extraction targeting Windswept Heath, paying life? Yeah, I mean, sure. That is the worst Gitaxian probe I've ever seen. And they're just letting us draw lands? That seems even better. Um, so our decision here is whether or not we think they have a four damage spell, right? So like if they have Fire Blast and we go to our upkeep without decaying Sulfuric Vortex, we lose. So their incentive to hide this information is to hope that we don't decay Vortex because they're leaving themselves dead on board. I'm not sure why they would have Surgical Extraction and then passed if they knew that that would leave themselves dead to Vortex. And like, when instead they could have just like stayed at 8 and then taken a hit and then peeled. So I think we just have to kill this Vortex. Like I think they've got a 4-shot in their hand. And we just have to hope that we can dodge whatever it is that they're up to. Like, we may have given them an extra turn, but who knows? Also, we should have cast that Bloodcast. Cool. Well, looks like our opponent's dead. And so they are. So yeah, we probably... So we won by decaying Vortex. I'm not sure that... Oh, no. Oh, they had Price. Yeah, that's right. Okay, so... Yeah, we would have lost had we not decayed Vortex. And they were trying to induce us by Surgicling. So, we solved the puzzle and won the game. I'll be back in a sec.